Alistair, Steve, welcome and thanks for joining me. We'll get straight into Alistair first. So Alistair, finally we've got some rugby to look forward to. It's going to be a strange one, but yeah, there's something there to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely, Ash. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? And since March last year, I think as weeks have gone by and months have gone by, I think we've all been sat at home thinking, when are we next going to see some good quality championship rugby? And absolutely now it's coming. I'm actually getting very, very excited. And just having never mind the players, but me just having the ability, along with the other directors, of actually getting down to the ground and watching a game of rugby. It's going to be different. Not done it for 12 months, Ash. Yeah. So very, very excited. Very excited.
And no doubt the highlight for the staff and the players and and the whole club is Saracens will be coming to the Bay.
I think the truth is that just getting back to playing rugby is probably the biggest highlight. Saracens is a drawing Saracens at home is a huge added bonus. Very excited about that. But actually just getting back to playing, our regular rivals, Coventry, Doncaster, Bedford. And I think our opening games is Ealing. A team that's always found it very difficult to come and play up here in Nottingham. I think Saracens is definitely a big bonus to us, Ash, no doubt about it. But I think the biggest highlight really is getting back to playing rugby.
And I know that there's been a lot of hard work down at the Bay throughout the whole pandemic, which involved, getting the sports bar open. It's been non-stop down there. Nobody's stopped. How's that going to look when we're allowed to reopen?
Well, people probably thought I was a little bit mad when, I was opening a sports bar during the pandemic and a lot of people were closing them. But actually, at the time, we got a lot of work going on down the Bay, Ash. Since last March, we've never stopped. The pitches still needed, all the pitches have still needed the attention. We've had to look after the buildings, the facilities, and the volunteer support that we've had down there has been phenomenal. But actually, when I turned around and said, right, we're going to open a sports bar, I can remember Steve looking at me thinking, what? But well done to you guys, Ash and you both. You got your Sky, you got the BT Sport installed, we've got the 2 big screens installed. We actually got opened, we opened, and I think about a week later we were told that you've got to now serve substantial meals, and we had to shut. But I can tell you now, as soon as that government gives us the nod that we can open up and at least be able to have some form of mixing, we'll be open. And that sports bar, I'm assuming we'll try and get it open for weekends, Ash, as soon as possible. But our plan is to try and get it open every night of the week. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will think, oh my God. But we have got to find new ways of raising money, Ash. And our facility down at the Bay is one of the best in the area. And it's not just about rugby, it's about the community. It's about all sports, actually. The Bay is not just about rugby. It's not just about cricket. We want to open that place up to the community and let the community get the benefit from it as well.
Steve, I know you can follow on from Alistair there about the hard work that's gone on at the Bay, because you're there most days. You're there getting your hands dirty most days, along with all these hardworking volunteers, and it really has just been non-stop.
Yeah, and loads of people have been down, helped out in lots of different ways, from painting to sorting out changing rooms, all sorts of stuff over the last sort of 9 to 12 months. And, a lot of staff have worked really, really hard behind the scenes to get us to where we are now. And, having a squad that can compete in the championship, having the guys around the team and being in a position to, take up old rivalries, and really looking forward to some of the games we've got coming up, both home and away.
And for you, Alistair, obviously you've seen the hard work that people like Steve and Neil from the playing side has put in, but like we mentioned, the volunteers, and it's been different for those guys and for you, to prepare for this shortened season.
Yeah, Ash, it's been a very, very tough 12 months for everybody involved in Nottingham Rugby, and you certainly have to take your hat off to Steve and Neil. I'll put you in there as well, Ash. All the backroom staff as well. We've been meeting, if not weekly, at least every other week. Whether that's on Zoom, on Microsoft Teams, and the challenges that we've had thrown at us, from day one, whether the challenge was from Public Health England, whether it's from the other government departments, local authority, the RFU, even the championship, committee, all the chairmans together, it's been changing daily, changing weekly. And we've never really known whether in truth, I don't think we've known whether we've been coming or going. And I think for the work that Steve and Neil particularly have had to do during that period, try and keep the players informed, keep the players' motivation up, and to deal with everything else that we've had to deal with, I think has been fantastic. And I think it's a testament to the pair of them, really, and to everybody. And let's not forget the board of directors. Every 2 weeks for 12 months, we've been meeting, and in a lot of cases, 2 hours meetings every 2 weeks, trying to work through our finances. What is the club going to look like in the future? What's the championship going to look like in the future? But absolutely brilliant. Everybody's been fantastic, Ash. And at this point, I need to thank the rest of the board of directors as well, because they've been absolutely fantastic. And but we can see something now. We can see something at the end of that rainbow. I don't think it's a pot of gold, but there's definitely something at the end of that rainbow somewhere, Ash.
And Steve, I know that a lot of thanks already goes to sponsors, supporters, season ticket holders, players, not only for helping the club and supporting the club, but just to be there and just to have their backing is really crucial in times like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Ash. And, for me, it shows a lot of sponsors have continued their involvement in the club and have supported us through this time and also into the future as well, which is great. From a supporter's point of view, we've had loads of very, very nice messages from various supporters, fans, people getting in touch, chatting to me and Fauxy, or when they were allowed, popping down to the sports bar and being involved and engaged that way. From a season ticket holder point of view, we put those out for sale, thinking we'd be back. And Alistair will come on to that in a bit. But again, the season ticket holders have been very, very loyal. So all throughout the club, it just shows what a great club it is, and great city and great community.
And Alistair, I know a lot of clubs in the Championship have opted to do some form of crowdfunding. We at Nottingham won't be doing crowdfunding as such, but we've got another idea up our sleeve. Well,
we actually started off, Ash. We launched our season tickets. I think a week before we were told that there'll be no crowds. We did actually sell a few tickets very quickly, Ash, and then we pulled the plug and thought we'd have a rethink. And we've come up with a great idea, we believe. Rather than going down the traditional route of the crowdfunding, we've had a lot of supporters asking, what can we do? And we're going to produce a playing shirt, which we will use, I believe, for one game next season, where the players will actually play in it. But we're going to produce a shirt that people can buy and put their name on it. And in fact, I think further details about that are going to be launched next week. So this is the opportunity for our season ticket holders, our sponsors, anybody out there that actually can help support the club, this is our way of doing it. So hopefully, am I right, Steve? Those details will be ready next week.
Yeah, absolutely, Al. And I think from a club point of view, we've seen other clubs doing something similar in the past, and it's a great way of getting a brilliant bit of memorabilia that will be a one-off limited edition shirt with your name within the actual shirt itself. So yourself and all the other fans who help in that way will also be able to get something back as a great memento.
I think actually it's a good point to touch on. A lot of these clubs have done this fundraising, Ash, because of the additional cost of playing this season is phenomenal, Ash. I'm sure Steve at some point will probably mention about the paperwork involved. But just the cost of COVID testing, as a lot of people have probably read in the press, the whole of our squad and backroom staff are having to be tested. It's now down to once a week, but that's still going to cost the club. It's going to cost Nottingham around about anywhere between £45,000 and £50,000 this season, just to comply with the RFU and Public Health England's elite sport testing. And then on top of that, we've still got to have stewards. I think Steve was mentioning to me only a couple of weeks ago, we've still got to have something in the region of 6 stewards at a ground. We've all got to be, we're all going to probably have to go through a vehicle wash spray before we can walk through into the ground. All of this is added cost, and I believe it's going to cost Nottingham something in the region of £100,000 just to play those 5 home games and 5 away games. And therefore, I ask everybody out there, anybody that's probably listens to this, this is across the whole of rugby, whether it's the Premiership or the Championship. Obviously the Premiership, it's costing them a lot more money than what it's costing in the Championship. But please get behind your club. Whatever club you support, please get behind your club, because it is costing us a lot of money this season. So we do need your support.
And obviously, just coming on to raising funds, obviously a lot of our funds will come through season tickets and gate receipts. At the moment, supporters aren't allowed in the stadium. The number one question on supporters' lips, Steve, is how can I watch the game? What's it looking like at the moment?
Yeah, so it's sort of a work in progress at the minute, and the final details will come out. But the RFU are working collectively within the Championship and the Championship clubs to look at live streaming the games across the whole season. Most clubs have had trials over their pre-season games, so there'll be an ability to buy a ticket to a game and be able to watch your home club and the away fixtures as well. So hopefully, it'll grow the brand of the Championship. People who love watching Championship rugby and rugby throughout the whole country will hopefully get behind and watch some cracking games. And I'm sure, the fact that we're playing in March, April and May will lead to, very quick, dry pitches. So we should see some cracking scorelines and some brilliant rugby.
Just coming away from the rugby side, Steve, and just going back to the commercial side, we've mentioned the sponsors, and a lot of sponsors have already committed again for the next season or so. There's still a few ways that sponsors can get involved if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the live streaming of the games, I think, is a huge opportunity for sponsors to gain some profile throughout the rugby community across England and potentially the world. And we've got various sponsorship packages available for all sorts of local firms, national firms, and people have just got to get in touch through the club. And I know you're going to put my details on at the end of this, Ash, so companies can get in touch directly and have a chat about what packages they would want. The other thing we've decided to do as a club is open the opportunity to have a package that includes this season and next season as well. So, those companies that want to look at things like hospitality as part of their package, we can offer that into next season.
Yeah, great. We put out that supporters can ask questions to you guys, and we've had a whole host of emails. So we'll get digging into them questions. The first one I think is directed towards you, Alistair. Will the season ticket cover the streamed games as well as any potential entry to the ground when restrictions are lifted?
I think I probably ought to just add at that point then, Ash, as well. Just on the live streaming, there is 2 platforms that the Championship are looking into with the RFU. There is the Premier Sports platform, which will be a live game, which I believe you can get access to through your Sky, Virgin, free-to-air boxes, I believe. And that will be shown over the weekend. And then every other game will be available live, so we believe, on Championship UK TV, which is a new platform that's being created purely for the Green King IPA Championship. And that's obviously been in conjunction with the RFU. Now, will season tickets cover the stream games? I believe where we are at the moment, we didn't sell that many season tickets, Ash, because we pulled the selling of them pretty quickly. And what we've decided to do as a club is anybody that's bought a season ticket this season, we are going to move that to next season. So they can have that for next season. If we are allowed, I mean, there's a very high possibility there could be, certainly the back end of our season, the last possibly couple of home games, who knows, the opportunity of having some form of minimal crowd, then those season tickets that have been purchased for this year, they will be allowed free entry to those games. However, the actual streaming, which I'm not too sure on how much those are going to cost yet, I'm told anywhere between £8 and £10 a game. That will need to be paid by all this season. And I think clubs are taking that view. Certainly Nottingham are taking that view because I touched on it earlier that we've got £100,000 worth of additional cost that we've not budgeted for. And Ash, we've not received any grant. DCMS have not issued the championships any grants whatsoever. So that's a cost we've got to cover, and therefore we're asking our supporters really to support us by watching the games, because actually that money could well help us cover the additional costs that we need to put into place to play this season. But hopefully the season ticket holders will get behind us. They've not lost the money. We will move that to next season. And if we can get them into the ground this season, then we'll welcome them free of charge.
Great. Steve, question number 2 falls your way. Will there be any pre-season fixtures? And if so, will they be streamed so fans can see how the squad is shaping up?
Well, so the lads have been back in training for a couple of months of socially distanced training at stage 1. So that was very much around fitness, strength. So they've had a very tough pre-season, and then we've gone into some more contact stuff over the last couple of weeks while we've been testing. So the guys are getting the bodies into a position to play games, and we'll be doing some stuff in training leading up to those games to get them match fit and match prepared. Fauci and I have decided that the best thing to do is to spend that time really getting prepared, getting the new guys into the squad up to speed fully, and hopefully going out of the blocks. The other thing, with pre-season games, you run the risk of injuries, and we've had that in the past where you get 2 or 3 key injuries, and it's actually caused us issues then for 2 or 3 games as we've gone into season. So very much our feeling was we're going to get as ready as we can be to hit the ground running and have the squad as fresh as they can be to go from there. And you can't forget that the guys have been out of the game physically for a year in lots of cases. So we are just spending a lot of time getting them physically and mentally prepared for those 10 games, and that's our focus. So the quick answer is no, we're not having any pre-season games this year. However, we may look to do something very different next year for our pre-season, but again, we'll work that through once we know what next season looks like and when we start.
Question number 3 reads, Premiership promotion / relegation. What are your thoughts of Nottingham Rugby on the latest attempt to ring-fence the Premiership? Do you think this will devalue the Championship and reduce competitiveness within the league?
I'll take that one, Ash. I mean, my personal view is, there always needs to be an ability for teams to be promoted and also relegated. If you don't do that, then the standards can fall. The standards can improve over a period of time. We see in ring-fence countries and ring-fence leagues, then absolutely that top league thrives in most cases, but actually the leagues below it then start to suffer. So I think, for me, that trapdoor should never shut. What it looks like, whether there's, my belief of you could have the team playing off who wins the Championship against the bottom of the Premiership with the right to earn the chance to go up. Maybe that's something that we should be looking at, different formats, and something that, my belief, and when we looked at the English Championship, was different formats might actually add some significant value, not just to the Championship, but also to some of those leagues below us as well.
Alistair, I know we've already touched on this, but just to reaffirm the message, this question reads, what is happening to the season tickets that have already been paid for?
They're still valid for this season. If they can, if we can get them in, if we're allowed at all. And they'll also be valid for the whole of next season as well, Ash.
Great. Question 5, this one's for you, Steve. Any idea when supporters will be allowed in? And if so, and numbers are restricted, will preference be given to season ticket holders?
Yeah, I mean, Ash, very much we'd love, some supporters to come back in towards the end of this season. We don't know whether that will happen or not. It very much depends on government and Public Health England and where their stance is, and we'll follow that and the RFU protocol that then comes from that. In terms of season ticket holders, absolutely, they'll get priority within the club. So if we are allowed fans in, those season ticket holders that have purchased, they will be given, first refusal to come into those games.
Quite an intriguing question here, probably one for Alistair. Does the withdrawal of London Scottish from the Championship this year mean the funding we receive from the RFU is marginally increased by dividing 11 ways rather than 12?
It is a very interesting question, isn't it? And whoever asked that question, I can confirm that has been picked up by most chairmen within the Championship, and actually that discussion is ongoing. Ash, we have raised the issue with the RFU, and we're waiting for a response on that one.
Great. Steve, question number 7. Has the new way of recruiting players been a success?
The proof will be in the pudding, Ash, absolutely. But in terms of getting a squad together and giving players the opportunity of playing in the Championship, then yes, it has been. We've recruited, a lot of guys from across the country who want to play at the highest level they can. So being part-time has opened the door for some of those players. So they're working full-time in the East Midlands and across the East Midlands. And then, obviously being able to train and play for us, it adds pressure and stress to them potentially, but it also gives them a great outlet to play rugby at the highest level. Richmond have been doing it for years, and if you go down a league, then there's lots of other great examples like your Blackheath, your Cambridge, Rosslyn Parks, that again have been on a part-time basis running a very, very good quality squad. I think the big thing for us moving forward over the next few years is obviously we've already got our links with Nottingham Trent University, which are very strong. University of Nottingham, we've got a couple of guys in from them at the minute who are in the squad, and when we were full-time they weren't able to commit, but now we're part-time training in the evenings. Those guys have come in, and also it's opened the door to some players that have gone to Loughborough University. So again, we've got 2 or 3 guys on trial at the minute who are in the Loughborough programme, and that's, you know, a world-class university programme. So it's very different. But, you know, I'd hope over the period of 2-3 years we can stabilise in that model. Who knows what will happen in the Championship moving forward, but certainly, you know, with the support of local businesses and job opportunities, we can bring players to the area that are high quality, but also give businesses some cracking people to work for them.
Question number 8 was sent in by Steve for Steve. Do you think the league will keep getting reduced RFU funding in future years?
I think for me, Ash, you know, I've been pretty vocal on it in that the Championship is a breeding ground for young English qualified players, and without it, a lot of those young players, whether they're on loan or coming through various ranks and programs, won't have the opportunity to aspire and play in the Premiership. You know, and for me, it's a simple process of developing talented young players, supporting some of the Premiership clubs with their loan players and dual registered players, and then some of those guys go on and play for England. And it's only, you know, as you go through the England squad at the minute, and you're looking at 50-60% of them that have played regularly in the Championship, that for me, you don't need to talk about it too much further. You know, without the funding and without the support to the Championship in the long term, my belief is the England team will suffer. Maybe not over the next 3 or 4 years, but maybe in the next 7 or 8. And we should be winning World Cups, and that should be the aspiration of the RFU and England Rugby, in my view.
Question 9 is one for Alistair. It's about Lady Bay. Are there any plans to improve Lady Bay, or have they been put on hold due to the virus and the RFU funding?
Yeah, prior to COVID, we were at a point in time, actually, back just over 12 months ago, where we were very close to getting a resolution between the sort of stakeholders within Lady Bay on the 3G pitch. Obviously, COVID set us back quite a bit, and obviously the RFU funding cuts did have a part to play in the changing of our model. But actually, the future of Nottingham Rugby and the site is actually totally separate to how we move forward with the playing model. The site is there for rugby, are just one of the users, Ash. And we're trying to develop a site that's there for the benefit of the community. Okay, and rugby are just a very small part of it. So we are absolutely, as a club, committed to ensuring that we achieve the development that we set out to do. And on the rugby side, that's more to do with a brand new clubhouse, brand new stand, and a 3G pitch. Even though I might want to rethink about the stand with the who knows how we're going to have to operate in the future. But we are absolutely committed, and actually only the last 2 to 3 months, those conversations have started again, and we've got, you know, those plans are so important to us, Ash. We've now got one of the Nottingham Rugby board directors who's concentrating pretty much full time on the development and working with our stakeholders to ensure that that development happens sooner rather than later. And I'm expecting within 6 months that we'll have some pretty good answers on where we're going with that.
That's good news. Steve, how confident are you that Nottingham Rugby can compete against teams with large squads and more financial backing? Is it inevitable that we're going to have a very split league?
Well, I'll take that in two steps, Ash. So obviously competing with teams with more money, we've done that for years. And within the league, you know, we've beaten teams at the top end of the league. We've been very competitive with other sides. So, you know, Fauci and I have worked really hard and with other people in the background to identify players we believe will put us in with a chance of winning games. And we've got some very talented players in the squad, as is every squad in the Championship. And it's how those players are put together, developed, supported in order to try and win games as best they can. And, you know, I know Fauxy and all the other guys involved, David Ross, Dan Turner, and everyone else in the back room, John Kelly, who's come involved with the strength and conditioning, and everyone else in there has worked really, really hard over the last 2 or 3 months to put us in a position to have a squad capable of playing in the Championship and winning games. And I'd expect us to be, you know, very, very competitive in that. The sort of, is it unavoidable that there'll be a split league? You know, in reality, when you're looking at Saracens, Ealing and 1 or 2 other clubs that have been able to stay full time, then on paper, absolutely, they should be in pole position to win games. But having said that, I know that we've got a squad full of guys who will be putting their bodies on the line and will be trying their utmost to turn teams over. Whether that's home or away, it doesn't matter. You know, these guys are ready to play rugby and they're chomping at the bit. And we've got a lot of people who've played a lot of Championship rugby. So, you know, for me, yeah, there is a split financially within the league, obviously. But having said that, I really feel we're in a good position to go out and, you know, give a good account of ourselves.
For the fans to look forward to. Question 11, one for you, Alistair. Was there any thought of not playing this season, given that there's no relegation?
Ash, I think in truth, before we didn't even know about whether there'd be relegation, we've been considering, you know, yes, no. So the truthful answer to that is yes, but I think that goes back to last summer. I don't, you know, and at the time we didn't really know what was happening. I think the turning point for me personally was around about Christmas time, when it looked like that we could play. We could, you know, play safely without putting our staff and players at risk. And then I think it was about mid-January this year when I also believed that I'd been speaking to 1 or 2, you know, obviously speaking with Steve and Neil, you know, most weeks, you know, every week. The passion that you could see of getting back to playing had never died. I think we'd not seen the passion was always there, Ash, but I didn't see it because I think we were fighting other things, unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when some of those unknowns start to become clearer, the passion became clearer, and then meeting all the players. I think that might have been around about the first week in February. I can't remember exactly. Seeing the passion come out with all the players and knowing what we needed to do to keep community rugby alive, it was a no-brainer, Ash. We had to get back playing because, you know, we've got a responsibility. You know, as a club, we're employing 40-odd people, and we had to get back playing, you know, for the sake of the club, the players, and not only that, you know, the mental stress and strain on our staff and players. You could tell it, you could see it. And one of the ways of dealing with that was to get them back. And so, yeah, the answer to that, absolutely, Ash. But we've got, you know, thankfully, we've gone the right way, not the wrong way.
Much to the delight of everybody, I believe. Steve, this one's for you, and you might need to do a bit of background work on it first. But how will Fauxy be splitting his time with us and Wasps?
Yeah, so as some people know, Fauxy has been doing some part-time coaching down at Wasps, and as a club we felt that was great to support him to gain that experience coaching in the Premiership. So he's been involved down there for about 12 months now, and it's been a great sort of chance for him to cut his teeth with internationals at that stage. And, you know, realistically, he does a small amount of work for Wasps with their scrum at the minute. So from a club point of view in Nottingham Rugby, the splitting the time's not an issue at all. So Fauxy has been working as he always has been, you know, all hours, all days, whenever we've needed him to get where we have done so far, and that won't change, you know. So Fauxy's with us for every training session, every build-up, every game. So as a club, absolutely nothing changes. What it has done is given Fauxy an opportunity to gain more insight, more knowledge, and become a better coach. And, you know, my belief is Fauxy is one of the best coaches in the Championship, and certainly one of the best young coaches around. So, you know, when I look at it, I think it was absolutely the right thing to do to support him and give him that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. The final question could probably be split between both of you. How confident are you we can remain competitive in the Championship following the decision to go part-time?
You want me to go first?
I'll let you go first on that one, Steve.
Yeah,
You touched on it already, actually, in one of the other questions.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, you know, I look at it and think, you know, we need to be able to recruit players on a regular basis, and hopefully through supporting them to get jobs in the local community, they may be at the club for longer. So, you know, if they've got a good job within the local area and they want to play rugby at the highest level, we'll be able to attract good quality players from all over the country. I think, you know, secondary to that is our ability as a club to continue to generate income from a whole host of different areas, whether it's a sports bar, whether it's sponsors, whether it's donations, whether it's season ticket holders, people coming through the gate, yeah, whatever it may be, all those different income streams, you've just got to continue to grow, which will help support the longevity of Nottingham Rugby and a club that's competitive in the Championship. And, you know, my belief is we can do that. And we've seen, you know, very quickly how we've been able to pull that together over the last 12 months as a model. And I'm really confident that with the universities in the area, particularly, that we can attract some cracking young talent into those universities as well to come into the programmes.
Anything to add, Alistair, from a non-playing point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pay-to-play model, as we've called it, or work, train and play, I think it's something that works very, very well within a city like Nottingham. And, you know, Steve touched on it earlier, Ash, that other clubs have been quite successful in this. And, you know, two of them to a certain extent are in our league. You know, with Richmond, you've got a bit of that with Amtil. There's a little bit of that, you know, in Bedford. There's other clubs that's got similar models, you know, and therefore I think having a city like Nottingham, where actually we're all very close, and we're such a big sporting city. I think the opportunities for you to work, train and play are there. And I think it's an appropriate point to mention that, you know, and I think that's a big thanks to all of our sort of sponsors, season ticket holders, and fans who have actually supported this scheme. You know, a fantastic scheme that we launched. You know, we set it up over 18 months ago. So I think we need to thank them. You know, I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart, because you've actually given these players something to strive for and work for. And I know that I employ one myself, and I'm seeing this person develop. So once he does decide to hang up his boots, Ash, you know, he's going to have a great career ahead of him. And I think we as custodians of Nottingham Rugby, because that's all I am, I'm only a custodian, and the rest of the directors, I think we have a big responsibility of ensuring there is life after rugby for our players. And I think this model that we've got, we could make it very, very successful. But we do need everybody to support us with that. And that's a great thank you to all of the people out there that are supporting us. And please get in touch, because we've got good talented players that want to come to Nottingham. And if we can help them find work, we could have as good a squad as Steve's touched on that we've had with a full-time squad. You know, we are pretty convinced of it. It will take a bit of time, but we will get there, Ash. Yeah, I think it's a great model to work with.
Yeah, it's a good point you raise as well, that it's not just about getting these lads a job so they can play rugby. It's about getting these lads a job, a lifestyle in Nottingham, you know, sort of a new career off the field as well, but also thinking about life after rugby, but thinking about it, you know, a lot earlier than what you would if you were playing rugby full time.
And you know, rugby's it's different now, Ash. You know, let's not kid ourselves. You know, since the pandemic, we're going to be coming into a new world. And, you know, where, you know, over 12 months ago, you know, there was 24, pretty much 24 full-time professional English clubs. You know, that's probably dropped in truthful by nearly half. And the money's not there anymore, Ash. You know, the RFU are struggling financially. All Championship and Premiership clubs are struggling financially. There will not be the number of full-time places available for our talented team, for our talented players. So what we do need to do, we all need to think very, very differently. And if we're going to produce for the long term some of the best English talent in the future, then we've got to all look very, very differently at how we manage this until we can find a way of getting more money invested in rugby union for the future.